My dear learner, welcome. Today, I want you to take a deep breath and relax, because you are about to begin a gentle, powerful, and life-changing English journey. And before we dive into the steps, let me greet you with warmth. I see your effort. I see your courage. And I want you to know you are not alone. Every learner who starts English begins with fear, confusion, and a little bit of doubt. But that fear slowly melts when you learn with patience, kindness, and real guidance. When I first started English, I felt completely lost. I didn't understand simple words, and even when I repeated them many times, they slipped out of my memory like sand through my fingers. Maybe you felt the same. Opening a book, memorizing vocabulary, listening to others speak, but nothing sticks. And not only that, sometimes you feel embarrassed, especially when people speak fast or ask you a question you don't understand. I remember one day someone said to me, "How's it going?" And I froze, because I didn't know what that meant. That moment taught me something. English isn't difficult. Fear is fear of embarrassment, fear of mistakes, fear of not sounding good enough. But slowly, little by little, I learned that English grows easier when you take one small step every day instead of trying to jump to the finish line. Let me share another moment that changed me as a beginner student. I was sitting in a classroom with 25 students, and the teacher asked us to introduce ourselves. My heart pounded so loudly that I thought others could hear it. When my turn came, I said only 4 words. My name is... and silence. The teacher smiled kindly, but some students laughed. I went home that day feeling broken. But instead of giving up, I made myself a promise. Tomorrow, I will say 1 sentence. Next week, I will say 2. Next month, I will talk without fear. And that small promise started everything for me. It became the seed of my English confidence. Now let's talk about what truly works for beginners. Real, simple, everyday English doesn't start with big grammar. It doesn't begin with long vocabulary lists. It starts with the words you use every single day in your real life. Words like eat, go, come, make, take, want, need, help, call, find, look, try. These simple words build 80% of daily conversations, but many beginners ignore them and jump to advanced vocabulary, which leads to frustration. I always tell my students, don't try to run before you learn to walk. Master the basics first, and fluency will follow naturally. One of my students, Hannah, used to memorize 50 difficult words every day. She filled notebooks with definitions, but when she tried to speak, she couldn't form a single sentence. She cried one day in class, saying, "Why am I not improving?" I told her gently, "Because you're learning English that you never use." So I gave her this tiny assignment. Learn 5 simple words each day and use each one in 3 sentences. After 2 months, she shocked herself. She could speak confidently without thinking too much. That is the power of mastering the basics. Next, let's move into something truly magical. Learning through stories. Stories do something special to the brain. They create emotions, imagination, and memory. When a beginner listens to a story, they don't just learn words, they feel them. They remember them. They connect them to pictures in their mind. One of my quietest students, Sammy, could barely say, "How are you?" when he joined my class. But he loved stories. So every day he listened to a 3-minute English story and wrote down 3 sentences. He understood. He didn't translate every word. He didn't force himself to memorize. He simply enjoyed the story. Slowly, something beautiful happened. He began to understand more and more, and soon he started speaking naturally without fear. When he spoke for the first time, he said, "Teacher, I think I can do this." And I told him, "You always could. You just needed the right path." Now let's talk about one of the most powerful beginner techniques, shadowing. Shadowing means listening to a short English sentence and repeating it at the same time, like an echo. Beginners often feel awkward practicing this, but it's one of the fastest ways to train your mouth and ears. A student of mine, Esther, felt terrified of speaking because she believed she had a bad accent. She stayed silent in class, afraid of being judged. But when she discovered shadowing, everything changed. She practiced 5 minutes a day, repeating simple sentences like, "This is my phone," "I live here," "I like this place," and "I am learning English." At first, her voice shook. Then, slowly, her pronunciation became clear, her sentences became smoother, and her confidence grew. 3 months later, she gave a full 1-minute introduction about herself, something she once believed was impossible. Now let's move gently to another important part of learning English, connecting words to your daily routine. This is a simple secret that many learners never discover. If you want English to stay in your mind, you must connect it to your actions. For example, when you wake up, say, "I wake up early." When you brush your teeth, "I brush my teeth." When you cook, "I am cooking rice." When you leave the house, "I am going to work." The moment you speak what you're doing, your brain absorbs English naturally. This method helped one of my students, Farhan, who struggled heavily with memory. He always forgot what he learned. But when he connected English with his actions, everything stuck. Now he says, "English follows me everywhere I go." Next, let's talk about pronunciation, a challenge that scares many beginners. The truth is, beginners don't need a perfect accent. They only need to speak slowly and clearly. Fluency begins with clarity, not speed. A student named Rosa used to rush her English because she thought speaking fast meant speaking well, but that made her pronunciation unclear. So I taught her a simple rule. Slow is smooth. Smooth becomes fast. She slowed down her speech, and suddenly everyone understood her. Step by step, her confidence grew. And in time, her natural speed improved by itself. Another important step is learning basic grammar effortlessly. Beginners often fear grammar because they think it is hard. But you don't need long rules. All you need are a few simple patterns. I am, I have, I need, I want, I like, I can. With just these, you can speak more than 300 everyday sentences. For example, I am learning English. I have 2 brothers. I want tea. I can try. I like music. These simple structures give you the power to communicate, even if your vocabulary is small. Now let's talk about emotions, because English learning is not only mental, it is emotional. And the biggest emotion beginners face is shame. Shame when you mispronounce a word. Shame when someone corrects you. Shame when people laugh or misunderstand you. I want you to hear this clearly. Mistakes don't mean you are weak. They mean you are learning. Every fluent speaker made 10,000 mistakes before they became fluent. So when you make a mistake, smile. You are growing. One of my students, Jonas, once told me, "I don't speak because I don't want to sound stupid." I told him, "You don't sound stupid. You sound brave." Because courage is not speaking perfectly. It is speaking even when you are afraid. After that, he practiced speaking one small sentence every morning. Now he speaks comfortably and no longer hides behind silence. Finally, let's talk about commitment, the heart of your journey. English grows slowly, like a plant. If you water it a little every day, it becomes strong. If you neglect it, it becomes weak. You don't need hours. You just need consistency. Even 10 minutes of English a day can change your life. And I want you to remember this. Every time you practice English, even for a minute, you are choosing your future. You are choosing confidence. You are choosing freedom. And you are choosing a better version of yourself. You are not just learning English. You are transforming your life. And now, dear learner, if you're ready, let's continue your journey together. Just say, "Yes, I'm ready," and I'll guide you to the next step.